Gholdengo Joltic Box is one of those decks that just came out of nowhere. And honestly, I don't think it's going to disappear anytime soon. That's because I think it's going to be one of the best decks moving forward, and right now it's a really good deck, and that's all because of its matchup spread, and the fact that it's able to take 2/2/2 very easily. If we take a look at its matchups, it has a 58% win rate against Dragapult Dust Noir, a 55% win rate against Straight Gholdengo, a 65% win rate against Gardevoir. Those are three of the biggest decks in the game right now, and it has a good matchup into all of them. It has a 50-50 into Raging Bolt, a 50-50 into Charizard Pidgeot, a 65% win rate into Grimmsnarl Frostlass. It has a negative win rate into Straight Dragapult, but that's to be expected with these kinds of decks, due to it probably not having too many switch outs to the Maractus and that kind of stuff as well. But honestly, this matchup spread is incredible, right? It's not something that we see very often with a deck having a really good matchup against three of the best decks in the game, and this I don't think is going to change. The reason is because if we take a look at some of these deck lists, then you'll take notice to why it's so good. The reason it is so good and that it has a better matchup spread than Gholdengo is because Gholdengo really struggles in the early game. If Gholdengo can't go 2-2-2, sometimes it can struggle to win the game. That is why a lot of these Gholdengos have been playing their 1-0-1 line of Togekiss, that one. And because of that, that allows them to kind of, flip a coin. If heads, you take an extra prize cards. So it's basically portable Iron Hands, right? But this deck cuts the crap and it just plays Iron Hands itself. So it allows you to just go 2-2-2 without having to rely on a stage 2 number 1 that can be shut out by Badoo. And also it's a basic, right? So it can go from turn 2, you can be going Ampy very much, right? And then at the end of the game, the thing that Joltic Box lacks is that late game closer. Then that's when you go Gholdengo, right? At the end of the game to close out the game. So I think moving forward, if we take a look at the Megas, right? The Mega decks might be quite difficult for Joltic Box to overcome. In the beginning of the game, sure, it might be fine, but as soon as you get into that position where they have a Mega in play, you don't have a good way to deal with it, right? You have Pikachu, doesn't one-shot them, not even close actually. But this deck has Gholdengo, which does one-shot them. And that's the best part about this deck. It can pivot from the best part of Joltic Box being the Iron Hands into the best part about Gholdengo being able to OHKO these really big 3 prizes, right? So it's the best of both worlds, because I feel like with Gholdengo struggling in that early game, only being able to take 1 prize card per turn, even against the Mega decks, because they're still going to be stage 2 decks that have to evolve from a stage 1 into a stage 2, from a basic to a stage 2, that's where Iron Hands comes in. It can kill it number 1 before it gets to the Mega, so it can cancel out the Mega entirely, but the best part about that, it's still taking 2 prize cards. So it doesn't really falter your prize mapping from going 2-2-2. In fact, your prize mapping is probably going to be something like 2-3-2 or 2-3-1 against a lot of these Mega decks. And that's fine. Like, it's still the same amount of turns as you'd be winning in other ways. But the counter argument would be like, okay, cool, but if I get to set up Togetic, then, or Togekiss, that means if I flip a coin and hit heads, that means that 3 prizes now worth 4 prize cards. Sure, that is a big thing, but number 1, you're relying on a stage 2, right? That says S2. And number 2, you're relying on a coin flip. And these are 2 difficult things to set up, because I'm going to be assuming a lot of these Mega decks are going to be running Badoo, right? Because you're going to want to, ease into the game. Like Mega Charizard is probably going to be running Badoo in the beginning of the game. And then also things like your Mega Gengar deck. It's probably not going to be running Badoo. Actually, it might be running Badoo. Iron Hand's going to be pretty good against that, because it also just lets you take good prize cards early game. Right before they get Mega Gengar set out, you can start taking 2 prize knockouts on the Ghastlies and stuff like that. And that's really nice, because obviously once Mega Gengar is set up, then everything's worth 1 less prize card. So then you can still go for that 2 prize mapping with Gholdengo killing the Mega Gengar. So yeah, because then Iron Hands will go early 2 prizes, then you can take 1 prize, and then killing the Mega Gengar will be worth 3 prize cards because it doesn't affect itself. So that's kind of bypassing the entire -1 prize card kind of thing. So yeah, I think this deck is going to be really strong in the upcoming format just because of how good of a matchup spread it has. Like, Dragapult and Gardevoir aren't disappearing anyway, and this deck farms those decks, kind of. Gholdengo is also not going anywhere, and this deck has a really good matchup spread, or matchup into Gholdengo. So, I really do think this deck covers its bases so well. The fact that the early game is so much stronger than Gholdengo's early game, and that the late game has the exact same late game as Gholdengo, it's super nice. And another nice thing is that this deck is able to run a different ace spec. This deck runs Prime Catcher, whereas straight Gholdengo runs the Energy Search Pro. And the reason you don't run Energy Search Pro in this deck is because you're essentially using Joltic to get the energy out of your deck, these energies, the grass and the lightning. You're attaching them into your Iron Hands, and then your Iron Hands is taking those 2 prize cards early game, or your Pikachu, and that's taking the 2 prize cards early game. And the thing is that with the Iron Hands, when that dies, you get +4 energy in the discard, and when you attack with Pikachu, you're getting +3 energy in the discard. You also have, obviously, earthen vessels and other stuff to discard the energy, like the manual retreat from the Iron Hands itself. You also have the superior energy retrieval, actually, to discard some energy. For example, if you have 2 energy in hand and there's 4 energy in the discard pile, you can now discard those 2 energy with the superior energy retrieval to get them into the bin, and then you can use the get the 4 that you get back, and then you can use your Levincia to get those 2 energy that you got from the discard pile, putting it into the discard pile by the superior energy, and essentially using 1 superior energy, discarding 2 energy, and you're getting its 6 energy back because of the 4 from the superior and the 2 from the Levincia. Obviously, you have to discard 2 lightning from the superior, but that's pretty easy if you go Earthen Vessel into it. So yeah, that's what I'm saying, that I feel like this deck is going to be quite consistent and also quite good into the format. Like, another thing is that, let's say you might be playing against a deck that struggles to deal with Pikachu. Well, I mean, they can keep struggling because you're going to keep playing Pikachu. So it is really nice, and it is also a really consistent deck, and with Prime Catcher being still just such a good ace spec, it is just free gust. It allows you to make plays that Gholdengo usually wouldn't be able to, like, for example, Arven for the superior energy retrieval, and then Prime Catcher as well, or you can Prime Catcher plus Turo or something like that. You know, it's just super nice because it allows for a lot more flexible play, whereas Gholdengo obviously is like stuck into using that 1 supporter per turn. They can't use Arven for a night stretcher, and they can't also use Turo in the same turn. So it's difficult for Gholdengo to justify running any other ace spec because you have to get energy out of your deck somehow, and this deck is allowed to run Prime Catcher because Joltic is your way of getting the energy out of the deck, basically. And that's why I think this deck is honestly going to be really strong moving into the next format. It was a short video, but if you guys enjoyed, if you guys like this content, then smash like, smash subscribe. I don't usually ask for smash like, smash subscribe, because I can't even say it. But if you guys enjoyed it, smash like, smash subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.